Hi everyone, and welcome back to Zero to Hero, the challenge where I go from level 1 all the way up to Keystone Hero on my Troll Warlock. So what was pretty much clear from last episode was my frustration with the affix and feeling a little bit useless and reliant on other people in parking. So let's see how this week has been. So first of all, this reset means that it's 10.1.7. which is super exciting, and now we have more story quests, and also we have the pinning system here, which I'm taking a look at, which I'm positive about. I mean, I think it's pretty cool, but I honestly haven't seen much people really taking a use of it. But then again, it has only been a week, and it's a whole new system to a 20-year-old game, so it might come later. And then, next thing up is checking out the bolt. And we actually got a weapon in here. A pretty, decent, it's a really big upgrade. And, I might still want to use my Spark of Shadow Flame to, craft a weapon. But this is a really good thing to have. And then the next thing here is, it was time walking. So I could get an upgrade, so I managed to quite quickly finish my 5 time walking dungeons. Then let's see what we get. So yeah, nothing too exciting, but it was an eye level upgrade, so I guess I got what I wanted. Going into a 12th Nefarian's Lair here, which I believe just goes super smoothly. So this reset we have Incorporeal as our affix, as well as Sanguine, and my god, what a difference this makes from week to week. As I mentioned before, last week I was really frustrated with not really being able to do with anything against Afflicted, the affix from that, and just being reliant on other people to do it, because, well, it's pugging in WoW. People are not you're gonna run into groups where they just straight up just not gonna do anything. So being able to actually use Banish, and I actually a person commented on my last video that I can also use Fear. So I could actually, do both of them, which is so great. I don't have to be reliant on anyone else. That's really amazing. And in this week, this is also the week where I started to actually push a little bit of swords. So here I'm doing a 15 freehold. I'm still this is gonna be reflective of the damage meters. I'm still quite low eye level. I believe when this whole week is over, I'm 417. I believe I'm around 410 here. So there are definitely eye level upgrades I can go for, but survivability wise, I can start to pushing into these. I did push into a 16, I think, where I could definitely tell that things were hurting me more than they necessarily should. But they're just more important. It's just more important to use defensives and stuff like that in that situation. But yeah, no, it's been nice to actually push a little bit higher than just the anything below the 10s. The last 2 weeks was basically all about just filling out the different dungeons, doing all of them. And I had a bunch because this is the second week of Fortified, and I had a bunch of 2s and 5s and stuff like that. So I had a lot of to upgrade with, so I got a lot of score in this week. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with the Warlock. Because even though I'm definitely having a lot of fun, so the question 10.2 was just really announced, and with that the question comes, well, what are you supposed to main? And I am a person that changes mains almost every season. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I stick with like, you know, like a character that goes like from season to season. But most times I actually am a person that changes main pretty often, just to keep the game fresh. And this is also why I keep the game. Like I can keep playing this game, is because like I keep changing up. So I am on like, you know, the scout for like looking out for, well, who is the candidates for like the next main, and Warlock was like, you know, I wanted to try out Warlock because I haven't really played it for Dragonflight. I have played Warlock a bit in Shadowlands. Nothing crazy or anything, just did some few mythic plus and stuff like that. But I have a few things with the Warlock. So first of all, this has nothing to do with 10.2, all about like this. I really don't like the tier set. I really don't like the flow of it at all. So for anyone who doesn't like know, the 2 set is just that when you cast Immolate or Incinerate, or you casting Demon Fire, more Demon Fire bolts will like, you know, have a chance to like fire out. And then the 4 set is that it increases your fire damage by like, I think it's 1% only, and stacking 8 times. So yeah, I really don't like this. I think it's like at the worst, I mean at the best scenario, it's just kind of boring. Like it's just, you know, you get a little bit extra fire damage, which again, granted, is like, you know, a lot of your damage, but like it's just, it doesn't really feel impactful in any ways. Like you don't really get that oomph from it like that as some other tier sets kind of have. And then there's also the element of like, you have to, there's like a rhythm to it of like when you want to use it. And I have actually had trouble with this, and something I can definitely need to be better at is like when to cast channel the Demon Fire, because that's when you will get basically all of the stacks. You know, the other like times when you're not casting, or you're just like doing Incinerate or whatever, or Immolate, you might get 1 or 2 stacks and stuff like that. So if you want the full duration, the full time, then you need to like channel Demon Fire. So there's times, you know, where because also again, because I'm doing lower keys and things tend to like die relatively quickly. So like as soon as I got my Demon Fire off and I have my damage buff, well, the Pax is already almost like half death, you know, dead at that point. I might exaggerate a little bit, but you get my like point. It's just, it feels a little bit awkward in my opinion. And then also just because in order to cast Demon Fire, you need to like have Immolate on the target, and it will only like cast it on the targets you have Immolate on. And like most scenarios with that, you would like pair it with the talent of like Cataclysm, which is, you know, the one that like a huge AoE that like spreads immolation to everyone. But it doesn't feel like it's the Demon Fire that you want to like spread out. It's just the buff, like the buff that you want. So it doesn't actually matter if it really hits 1 or 2. You just want it out as fast as possible. But yeah, I really don't like it. It's really, it feels a little bit clunky and just not very impactful in any ways. But it is, because I can see the damage, you know, that it is increasing when I'm using it right. But yeah, I don't know. That just really like, you know, stuck out for me about playing Destruction Warlock in specifically. That yeah, no, that this just said it's just really not it for me. Now the other thing is, and I feel like I've mentioned this before, but it's basically just a 3-minute cooldown. Like luckily enough, in 10.2 they will change it so that Infernal now is a 2-minute cooldown, I believe, instead of being the 3 minutes. I kind of don't know why this day and age we have 3-minute cooldowns. I mean, I guess I do. It's just more in the sense of like, I personally feel like that the whole game is designed around 2-minute cooldowns. Like when you play a class that has 2-minute cooldowns, you notice that, like, you know, first of all, yeah, you get more cooldowns in, but it also just feel more like right the places you get them to. Like, so for Warlock here specifically, like I had struggled a lot with I want to use my cooldowns in the packs that I normally use cooldowns on with like other classes, but then I noticed that, well, if I do that, then I won't have it up for the boss, or I'll have it up like some awkward or weird time. So there's like multiple times where like either you have to hold them back, like your cooldowns back for like a minute or minute and a half, which is really bad. Like, you don't want to do that because you lose out on so much damage overall. But then you also just like, if you do like throw it out, then you like have plenty of time where you go into a boss fight and you know you have to wait 30 or 40 seconds into the boss fight before like throwing cooldowns. And realistically, like practically, it doesn't do that much of a difference if you use your cooldowns in the... I mean, it's true if you bloodlust, that's like make a big difference. But if you don't bloodlust, it doesn't really matter that much if you use your cooldowns at the beginning of the boss fight or if it comes 30 seconds later. But it just still feels a little bit awkward to play with like a 3-minute cooldown. So where Warlock kind of like differentiates a little bit from other classes that has 3-minute cooldowns is Avatar of Destruction, which is the one you see right here where I summon an Infernal every 10 soul shot that I spend. And the thing about this is, you know, because with Warlock Destruction, Warlock specifically here, it's all about your burst. Like, it's all about when you have Infernal and, you know, an Avatar. Like when you, because that's like the point where you can just pump out your like a bunch of your spells, like Rain of Fire or like, you know, the Chaos Bolt. So you like your like, you know, damage profile is like all about your burst. So that's why, you know, it sucks that, you know, you have 3 minutes until you can actually get into that zone where you really want to be. But with Avatar of Destruction, you do kind of get like these like mini bursts quite often, so it doesn't feel as bad as like other classes necessarily would. So I like, you know, generally like really like that, and that's also something that made me want to play like, you know, Destruction Warlock, because I thought it was so cool that you just summon these Infernals. But it does like have a really good impact on the game. Is that I just wish that, you know, Infernal would be up more. I wouldn't mind having a smaller burst in the sense of like, you know, damage output, but just having it more often I think is like really valuable. But I would say besides those 2 points, which I do think is generally like, you know, kind of big, especially like the tier set, it does suck to play a class with a tier set that you don't necessarily enjoy, because for the most times these tier sets does kind of have a big influence on the talent builds or your general gameplay and rotation and stuff like that. But besides those points, how else have like, what's the positive of playing a Warlock? So I think the thing that I really noticed is just how great your defensives are. So first of all, you have your Unending Resolve, which is a 25 damage reduction. It does have like a 3-minute cooldown, which is like more on the longer side, but like with everything else, this is a really great defensive to have. Like just flat 25% is quite a bit, like for like, you know, DPS players and stuff like that. And you can actually talent it into either being like lowering its cooldown by like 45 seconds or giving it 15% extra damage reduction, you know, putting you all the way up to 40% damage reduction, which is huge. Like that's like basically like, you know, a tank defensive right there. And then you have like Dark Pact, which is a defensive where you take, you know, 20% of your health and then you get a 200% absorption shield out of like how much health it took. And you can get a talent to like, you know, reduce you get the same amount of shield, but you reduce the actual amount of like damage that you sacrifice. Or you can as well also lower its cooldown. Dark Pact is definitely like your bread and butter when it comes to it. Feels like it's 1 minute cooldown and it's such a huge absorption shield that it will break at some point, but like it's so much damage that it will like absorb before like, you know, you actually are put in danger. And then you have, you know, like a health cook. I mean, you have your health stones and you have your leech, which is, you know, makes it even like more less likely for you to die. So going into Mythic Plus, like I have felt extremely comfortable, like, you know, playing as a Warlock just because of like the defensive. And then the other great thing about playing a Warlock is that there are definitely places and different situations where you excel at. For example, if you can like 2-target cleave with your Havoc, that's really great. You also but like it doesn't really feel like there's any situation where you like necessarily like bad or like worse at it. Like it also feels like a super versatile class, which I have really enjoyed. But like I also want to like highlight here with this specific Underwood run right here is like really the like the big, it was my last key of the week, and was also probably like the worst key I did. And I was because I was thinking a lot about, you know, I was in my last video I had to like disband some keys, and I was a little bit worried about people's take on that, because I have I wouldn't say a strong opinion, but I do have the clear impression that, you know, I don't want to waste my time, if that makes sense. You know, if I know for a fact we're not getting through a dungeon by the first 5 minutes, then I don't want to sit there for another 35 for everyone else to, you know, to figure it out necessarily. And I really don't mean that like in a toxic way or anything, you know, because it's not about like, you know, disrespecting other people's time. It's also for like me, I'm thinking, you know, to them, hey, let's not be like everyone, let's not be like super frustrated and like, you know, hate ourselves for like doing this run. Let's just call it quits, and then like for everyone else to get into a better run, you know, faster. Like that's my like mentality with this. So why am I saying all of that? Well, because this Underwood run, it's I believe a 15, and it's a run where we go to the first boss, and we actually end up wiping here in the first boss. And I was thinking to myself the whole way through that if we can't even, like, it was really messy getting here, and this is, you know, the easiest part. Like this is the part that, you know, you should just like breeze through. If we're struggling here, where, like, you know, this run is not gonna go well. But I was, you know, like, I was holding off. I was like, no, you know what, we everyone is like, you know, happy and fine and everything. And I, you know, I'm not perfect either. As you saw right there, I tried to get another extra chaos ball off, and it just did not, you know. I was like, you know, I was like too late. I didn't move out like fast enough, and it completely freaked me out, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna die, like, distract me. If you notice now, so like, I'm not gonna use my kick at all, which is I cringe so much at, but like, you know, I completely lost. I think do it now? Maybe I thought maybe I do it for one. Yeah, okay, so I do it like one, but you saw throughout the whole thing I didn't use my kick. So like, it's not to like point out other people's mistakes, it's my own as well. But this was like, you know, super painful to get through, because as soon as like the second ad spawned here, because I thought to myself we could be able to solo it, but no, the tanks just gives absolutely, like, you know, like almost one shot, but like that's how these like bolts work, and you need the extra kick. But we go again, and like, you know, it's again, like I was thinking to myself like, oh, should I like, is it worth it to do it? And I was like, you know what, people again are not like toxic or anything, so, you know, let's just like move on. But the reason why also this run like took me so long to like really, you know, put my foot down saying no, we're not getting through this, because I am gonna like disband it, is simply like, it's a bunch of, like, a lot of people think like, you know, it's like one big mistake. It's a bunch of like really small errors that like, you know, hides it away. So if you notice here, we are like in this like little area, like surrounded by mobs, and there's tank went on. So where do you like, you know, where do you drag the mobs here you go? Because as soon as like, you know, they're gonna like start, they also like dropping pools and everything, so they are like denying, you know, ground around us. Well, the tank decides, you know, to pedal backwards into packs that we don't want, and you see me trying to like, you know, move this way, and as well as I believe that was our hunter moving next to us right there, but the tank goes the opposite way and ends up like pulling more that I assumed that he didn't, you know, want to pull. And not to be like rude to this tank, because I actually talked to him after this run and he was very nice and everything. But it does, you know, show you that there isn't a lot of like spatial awareness going on, which is, you know, very, I wouldn't say it's mandatory necessary, but it's quite necessary that you know like what's going on, or like what's like around you. And it's funny because this tank actually, when we were waiting for a healer to come, he actually complained. He was like, why is it impossible for me to get invited into 15's? I know the mechanics, and it's like it's clear with like this run that he doesn't know the mechanics from like looking at YouTube guide, but you need to like play it. You need to figure out like in practice like how does work, you know. you need to like figure out the routing and like also just why you're going different ways. It's not enough as a tank, at least I don't think it's enough for you just to know what the bosses do. Like, do you also know what like all the ads do and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. But you know, surprisingly, it went really well with this second boss, and I do want to point out that, you know, at this point, we had like a few more deaths and like people body pulled, and like there wasn't like, yeah, a little bit of like lack of control. And I noticed like, you know, that the hunter was getting a little bit more and more, you know, frustrated with the tank and everyone else. So like there was like a tension like starting to build up like during this time. So it's going to be the mushroom boss that's going to be our downfall. And the thing about this boss is that its mechanic is quite simple, that you just need to make sure that all these mushrooms are gone, the green ones are gone, before he like casts his big like AoE, popping them off, you know, giving you disease thing. And the thing about this boss is that, you know, everyone needs to be on board with that. If you have one player not doing his job, that's like the end of the whole run. And it's not just the tank, he did miss a few frontals, I believe, or could have gotten more out of them. He also could have, you know, walked into more mushrooms himself, you know, and just like tanked it, which I sometimes do on my tank if we're missing a few of them. But we also have a warrior who's just like really placing them like really badly or poorly. So this is gonna be it for us, and the tank leaves like, you know, doing the pull. I start saying that I don't think this is gonna be, we're not gonna go like through this. We have 24 deaths, and it's yeah, we already not timed it, so everyone leaves, and that's how it goes sometimes. That's okay, that's okay. You're not supposed to get through all of them, but yeah. I believe we ended up around 1700, 1800 maybe score, so we're getting really close to Keystone Master, which I will be able to get next week, and then it's not that long away from Keystone Hero. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.